Yeah. Okay, then I think we're good to start. Let other people join in as and when they join the call. Okay. So let us just begin. My name is Akhil, and we are here to discuss about the 40 about the 5-in-1 firewall mastery course, and I will be talking more on the checkpoint. I am your faculty for the checkpoint firewall module of it, and this batch is going to start right from today, and the other modules which are there are as follows. So we'll have checkpoint firewall, which of course is going to be conducted by me. Then we have Paloalto firewall, we have Cisco ASA FTD, we have the Fortigate, and the F5 load balancer. So basically, the complete package of all the firewalls out there in the industry. And these are the timelines. So as I said, checkpoint firewall is starting from today itself. And then on 14 Jan, we'll have Palo Alto starting on 28 Jan. We'll have Cisco ASA. On 25th Feb, it would be Fortigate. And on 4th March, it will be F5 load balancer. And that's how the course will, progress. It will be a weekend batch, and mostly in the evening time, India evening times, which is like current time, like 8 to 10 kind of thing, right? And any queries that you might have, I have a support contact, a support number as well for you. But as I said, I'll be taking the complete, course on the checkpoint firewall. So let us just begin. Yep. So about myself first, my name is Akhil. I have around 8+ years of experience, and this is core hands-on experience on the firewall as well. And then I also teach online as well, right? And I have been working with various MNCs, various system integrators, where I have done all the deployments for major clients out there. In terms of certifications, I have completed my checkpoint, my CCNA. I've been, working also on SIEM or SOC related solutions, where I have done McAfee, IBM QRadar certifications as well. Process wise, I'm ITIL certified also. And I've been working on, like hands-on experience in deploying various security solutions, right from NGFW to intrusion prevention systems, endpoint detection and remediation, deploying SOC for the banks. And these are all mixed clients. Some of them are global, some of them are regional, across various business verticals which cater to government, BFSI, IT, ITS segments as well, right? So that's about me. And any queries that you might have, we will have a session for question answers right at the end of the meeting today. But let us just move ahead, right? So what is in store for you as far as checkpoint is concerned? So this would be a course agenda, on a very high level. Right now, we have kind of put down everything step by step. What will be the theory part? What will be the lab part? Of course, you will have all the lab access, the lab workbooks. I'll tell you about the labs as well, and we are going to have a small walkthrough in terms of the checkpoint console as well. Okay, we are actually going to put a rule in checkpoint so that we can allow some internet access to a machine, right? That is what we are going to do today. But as I said, these are the topics. So if you see, we have covered right from the basics, right? Why do you need a firewall? We will be starting with that. Slowly going to the checkpoint components overview, then the installation scenarios where we'll cover the 2-tier, 3-tier architecture. What are the pros and cons for the standalone versus distributed architecture? We'll actually deploy it in the lab, the 2-tier one, the 3-tier one. Then we will get into the administrative features of checkpoint, where we create more administrators, we assign permission profiles. So something like a read-only access, read-write access. So all that we'll see. We'll see about the database lock concepts as well. Then we jump into the policy. So basically the policy object, policy rules. There's something called as layers, which has come out in in 80.10. Okay, so this is a new feature coming out in R80.10. Of course, our labs will be on R81, which is the penultimate version of it. The latest version is R81.10, but we are going to have our labs done on R81. Okay, that's the version number. So we have something called as policy layer. So we'll see that. Then we have the log management. How do we manage the logs? Where the log files will be saved? How do you rotate the log files? All that we will see that as well. Then we'll go into the network address translation. So we'll first, study NAT as a concept, okay? And then we will slowly dive into how NAT is done on checkpoint, okay? So when we talk about auto NAT, manual NAT, PAT, no NAT, everything we are going to uh, do it practically on checkpoint labs. Then we'll also see the clustering part, high availability. We will go for SSL theory, SSL inspection as a theoretical concept again. And then we will deploy SSL inspection on the lab as well. Okay, so the idea is we are going to teach you the concept first, and then we will implement it in the lab so that you are very much comfortable with it, right? Then we will dive into the UTM features. UTM is like unified threat management. Okay, so we will talk about this later as well. But that's the idea. Like we will slowly get into unified threat management scenario where we have the app control, URL filtering, content awareness, data loss prevention, a bit of overview on the threat prevention and IPS as well. We will go into depth in terms of identity awareness. So when we talk about NGFW, we basically not only want to give access to an IP address, we want to give access to users as well, right? So we will actually put down an AD server and we will integrate it with our firewall, and we will give access to usernames which are there on my AD server. So we are going to do that lab as well. Then comes the most favorite part of mine, which is the VPN. Okay, so again, we will see VPN theory as a concept. Then we will do a site-to-site VPN configuration lab. And here, the bonus part is we will have a lab for site-to-site VPN deployed between Checkpoint and Fortigate. Okay, so you get a flavor of both the firewalls right on the first batch as well. Then we'll talk about remote access VPN, mobile access or SSL VPN as we call it. Some commands to troubleshoot the VPN stuff, backup and restore, CLI interface, and of course there is something related to licensing of checkpoint, which is my last topic, right? So I will also tell you the how licensing works, how you can generate your licenses, how you can apply the licenses to the checkpoint products. So that is how the course is going to be, roughly around 30 plus hours, okay, 30 to 34 hours, roughly, not more than that. However, having said that, we will make sure that all these topics are covered. Okay, so no worries. And hopefully, as I said, by 34 hours, we should be able to complete all of this. Okay, and okay, let me go back to the next slide. Yeah, so checkpoint developments in terms of version. So you would be hearing, okay, some of you would have heard about checkpoint R81, R80.1020. So basically, earlier when the checkpoint came in, right? So of course, there is something called as Gaia, which you would be hearing a lot about, but Gaia is the OS. Okay, Gaia is the OS, and the last version. Okay, so the story is basically after this version of R77.30, this there were major changes in the checkpoint architecture. Okay, major changes to make it more to give you better performance and all that stuff. So R77.30 also used Gaia, okay, but Gaia is an OS, but it was all like this. It was a earlier legacy kind of an architecture, And then after that, okay, after this new performance architecture, they've changed a lot of stuff actually at the backend. So what has come out is something like, they started with, as I said, they started with R80.10 and then 20, 30, 40. After that, they released R81. And currently, the latest version is R81.10, as I said. But of course, so this is like the penultimate one, and we are going to do all our labs on R81 itself. Okay. And this is how it looks. Okay. So this was the legacy look. Okay. Or everything was blue over here. Uh, and this is something like this right now. I will take you through the walkthrough as well. We'll actually log into the smart console and I'll show you this. But this is how it looks now. And now, as I said, it has a lot of other features as well. So in this, it was not possible for multiple administrators to log in. Okay, multiple administrators could not log in and do their work at a time. Only one admin could log in as a read write administrator and do the stuff. So that was not possible in this version, but in this, they from R80.10 basically it was available. The second major change that they did was, this was more like a client side architecture. Okay, client side architecture. So this is a very common question even asked in interviews as well. So this R77.30 was mainly based on client side architecture. Now, what does that mean is, if I'm logged into this console, if I do some changes, okay, and for some reason or the other, my network connectivity to the server crashes, all my changes will be gone, because it was all the changes that I was doing was happening on the client side, and the service has crashed somehow. But in this, as soon as I do the changes, it gets replicated to the server. Okay, so now they have a server side architecture. So even if I change one small thing, it gets replicated to the server, and even if my client crashes due to any reason, that change will be preserved on the server. Okay, so that's the major difference that they have gone with. They have included more powerful database for log searching and all that stuff. But that's on a very high level. These are some changes that they have done in the R80.10 versions, following it up all the way until R81. So any queries until now? Maybe we can just wait for 1 minute before we move ahead. Any queries? Okay. So that was about checkpoint software versions. And how about the appliances? So again, like, there are multiple appliances catering to various customers depending on different types of load scenarios. Okay, so this is just one snippet, though, telling you that it can give you like output of 1.5 terabits per second. Okay, but taking you to the checkpoint appliances brochure, right? They have something from very small network to something which is, scalable up to a very vast environment. Okay, that's the idea. So all this is all checkpoint hardware, right? So security gateways is firewall, virtual appliances if is like something, if you install a firewall in a VM environment. uh, Management appliances are management servers, so all your policies resides on this. uh, Next generation threat prevention is all about sandblast, so you'd be hearing about sandblast as well, so we'll talk about it in the UTM features. But this is more from the 0-day threat protection or advanced persistence threat protection. So this is one uh, hardware for that as well. There is DDoS protector. There are sandblast appliances, again similar to something like a threat prevention box. So these are like, any solution that you are going to do about checkpoint. First, you need to know the load criterias, how many number of users, what is your internet bandwidth, what is the throughput that you want. Do you want to have UTM scanning done as well? Are you going to use a lot of VPN or IPS scanning, because these are some operations which will require more load, right? More load, more CPU, more resources basically. So according to that, you can come here and you can choose your own form factor first of all, and then the appliance as well. Okay, so there are appliances like 28,000 series, 26,000 series, 16,200. There are Maestro is a highly scalable platform. Okay, it gives you like some microseconds kind of a latency. Okay, a few microseconds. That's how. So that's the idea. And for every size of the customer, maybe it's like a big customer which has hyper converged infra or a cloud kind of a platform, you can use Maestro. If it is a normal data center kind of thing, you can have all these firewalls. If it is an enterprise client with maybe one or two offices, you can go with all these uh, appliances. Branch office, small office, these are the things. And of course, if it is something related to maybe military environment or defense, where or somewhere related to a manufacturing environment where the work conditions are not really favorable, it's like too much of heat or too much of dust over there, so probably you can go in with a rugged firewall over there, which is this. Okay, and these are like, it's there, you can have more uh, details about each and every appliance over here, right from their throughput, the number of interfaces that they have, everything, right? The number of users they can support, the throughput with IPS, throughput with UTM, everything it can tell you, right? So basically your latency, your throughput, how many 10 gig ports it has, what's the memory over there, two power supplies, everything, right? So basically the idea over here is, before giving any kind of solution to the client, you choose your right box, okay, based on the client's requirement. So these are 2600, 2800 series appliances, 26,000 and 28,000 appliances. This is 16,200 for the enterprise one. Then we have and they call it as quantum. Okay, so they have started it as a marketing jargon again, like quantum or something like this. This infinity, this logo that you see, pink logo over here. You can see this infinity logo as well. So they now call it like, infinite protection, and then they deliver this. That's it. But yeah, of course, it's called quantum appliances, right? So these are quantum gateway appliances again. So 6200, 6600, 6900, all that. So the idea is refer this before proposing any firewall to any customer. Okay. So that will help in terms of the load sharing scenarios or load performance scenarios as well. So that's the idea. And going back to my presentation again, I've shown you the data sheet. When we talk about the certifications, of course, there is the base level certification that we have is CCSA, Checkpoint Certified Security Administrator. The next one that we have is CCSE, which is a Checkpoint Certified Security Expert. So both of them should be of the same version. Okay, but I mean, sometimes it gets updated very quickly, no matter. The idea is once you clear this, it will be a 2-year certification for you. Okay, whichever version you clear, it's like you have cleared 156 dash 280.10, something like that. Okay, so 80.10 is your version. Okay, so that's the idea. The cost of the test is around $250, 90 questions, 70% passing, and good one. I mean, if you really be with me and study hard, you should be able to clear this as well. The next one, which is more from the lab perspective, it is like a CCSM, and there is intermediate, like you have to actually get very good experience with 2 of the checkpoint products, and then you can go for CCSM. But that's the certification path that you can start with. Okay, so basically you can target CCSA for now and go ahead with it, right? So this is about the certifications of checkpoint. Yeah, again, now let us jump into NGFW, right? It's like basic next generation firewall. It's not checkpoint on this slide. Okay. So can anyone tell me like what or why? First question is, why do we need an NGFW? Any one of you can answer, and believe me, no answer can be wrong out here. It's really fine. I mean, you can just go ahead and just discuss. You just consider this as a discussion. So why do we need an NGFW? Anyone?
This is just like, I mean, the earlier it was the inspection up to layer 4. It is up to layer 7. Deep
Okay.
inspection, even though earlier the all modules are different hardware based. It is the integration. All the module is in within one hardware.
Okay. Okay. So that's the third point out here. So when we say UTM, okay, so that's the point. Okay, no worries. So these are some points. Okay, we are just going to discuss for a minute or two on these points, and then we'll jump into the thing. And whatever you said is right, partly right. So the very first answer is, when we say that why do we need a firewall? My question to you would be, okay, let's say when we talk about packet filtering, at the base, what does a firewall do is packet filtering, right? Based on certain source, certain IP, and a port protocol, just allow or deny the packet. That's what basically a firewall does, and that I can easily achieve on a Cisco router as well. I can put an ACL, I can put a standard ACL, I can put an extended ACL, I can do everything, right? So the question is, why still firewall? Yes, one point is correct, that it goes from layer 4 to layer 7. But the correct answer, or I mean, as I said, the other point or the more important point is stateful inspection. Okay. So what do you mean by stateful inspection? Anyone again? No worries.
It's just connection established. I mean, sync to each other. I mean, the source and destination connection. I mean, once the traffic going inside to outside, it will
Okay.
allow a reversed traffic from outside to it just connection state table. It will show the source destination what port number, which earlier and firewall was no feature like this.
And what about, okay, this is also a right answer to it. But what exactly do you mean by stateful inspection? So you said that the return traffic or the traffic coming from the destination to the source will
Right.
not be going through the packet filter because it is a part of the same session. That is one point. But any other thing, any other points as well when we talk about stateful inspection?
So contains source packet, source IP address, destination IP address, then source port number as well as the destination port number.
Uh-huh. Okay, so that is just a connection. That is a layer 3, layer 4 parameter. But what
Yeah, yeah.
happens? Okay, I have a slide for you on this. Okay, so when we say stateful inspection, okay, just be with me for a minute or so. You will quickly understand. And whatever you both have said is right as well. Okay, I'm not saying that it's wrong, but just to understand more clearly what exactly stateful inspection is, right? So let's say there is a server with an IP of 1.x.x.1, okay, and which is used to host some services. Of course, services can be again, something like uh, web application or a trading application or a shopping app or anything like that. It could be an internal server where it's like Active Directory, LDAP or anything. Okay. Now there is a client which needs to use these services. Okay, so the client IP is 2.x.x.2 and it wants to connect to 1.x.x.1. So the first thing that it will send is SYN packet. Okay, then comes the SYNAC from the server that, okay, I have enough resources, let us talk. And then this guy says, okay, I have acknowledged your SYNAC, let's start the talking. So that is how the TCP session comes in. The first packet is sent, sequence number 1 to 1500 byte goes on. The server receives it. He says that, okay, I've received one. I'm acknowledging two. Send me the second packet. The client sends the second packet from 1500 to 3000 bytes. He says that, okay, I've received two. Send me the third. Acknowledge three. Right. And this goes on until the data is finished. Right. Or that FINAC reset and reset act. Right. That goes on. But imagine, like, there comes someone in between with the same IP. So there's a hacker in between who is doing a session hijack with the same IP. He is snooping the same IP. He is actually taking that same IP of that client, and in the middle of the data transfer, he is sending 9,000 to 10,500. However, the next packet that the server is expecting is 3,000 to 4,500, right? So here the thing is, right from the SYN packet, right? The whenever that session started, right? From here, whenever the session started, the firewall will put the session information like the source, the destination, the source port, destination port, the sequence numbers as well. So the firewall keeps a watch that, okay, first sequence was sent, it was received, second was sent, it was received. Then suddenly this ninth packet came in, but I was expecting fourth one. So the firewall will deny this because the firewall is monitoring the complete session table. It will put all the details of source, destination, port, everything, even these packet numbers or everything. If there is a retransmission, it will discard. If there is a need to retransmit the data, it will allow. Okay, because it was not received properly. If two packets are received, then it will discard one. So basically, it will check that your communication from client to the server is obeying all the TCP sanity checks. Okay. It is checking that every connection, every session is being followed, or they are observing the TCP protocol properly. So this thing, if I do, okay, so I send 1, I send 2, I send 9. So the router will allow this because the router just checks as per my ACL configuration. It will check source, destination, and TCP protocol or UDP protocol and the source number or that port number, right? This much it checks. It never goes into the sequence numbers or bytes or retransmissions or anything like that. Correct? So that's the thing. But on the same condition, if you put an NGFW between that, it will basically block this packet because it is not a part of the same session. It was like 1, 2, 3. So it has to be 4, not 9. So this is not a part of that same session. Delete it or just send a reset or just block it. That's how the firewall works. And this is again one feature of stateful inspection. There are many features, so for example, like you guys know about what happens when a packet goes more than 1500 bytes. It is defragmented, right? It is broken up into 2 packets and then sent. So the firewall knows that the other packet which is coming for maybe 300 bytes is a part of that earlier packet, and I have to join it and give it to the destination. So it knows all about that TCP transport and TCP protocol, and it makes sure that the clients who are working on this protocol, they are observing it and all the packet, everything is clean as per the TCP sanity checks. Any questions on this? Got it? I mean, that's in a nutshell, whenever anyone asks you about stateful inspection, this should be your answer. Right from the SYN until the reset, okay, it monitors every packet, every single sequence number, every state, everything happening in that communication will be monitored by the firewall. And that is where these next generation firewalls have actually come in. Of course, it has more features like giving access to users. We'll talk about that in the UTM slide, but that's the idea. Okay, so this is how stateful inspection works. Yeah. Any questions?
Any conflict in the IP with the hacker when joined the same IP with the clients, like?
So that conflict cannot be detected by firewall because conflict will happen on the LAN switch or the switch where they are connected, right? But it is not a conflict. It is like because the hacker is using the same IP, we call that attack as a snooping attack. Okay, IP address spoofing or snooping kind of thing. Okay, then the third point is about unified threat management. or yeah. So what is the and I that should be simple. What is UTM? What do you think of UTM? What is UTM? You would have heard of this. So basically, like let's say if I deploy the best of the firewalls, okay, maybe Checkpoint, maybe Paloalto, maybe Fortinet or Cisco, whichever. I mean, the costliest of the one, right? But only firewall is not the one which will protect everything, right? There is email, there is web browsing, there is antivirus, there is zero-day attack, right? Because the firewall has some capabilities, fine. There's DDoS, right? So everything a firewall cannot do, of course. So the idea is, there is URL filtering, there is antivirus protection, there is anti-spam and email protection. There is data loss prevention. So this is like a sensitive data going out of my organization. I want to prevent it. Nothing related to firewall, right? This is more related to files. But yes, there is a protection needed. There is intrusion prevention. There is application control. There's identity-based access. There is zero-day threat. Checkpoint calls it send blast. Okay, send blast. We'll talk about this more in the threat prevention. There is anti-bot, there is content awareness. So all of this is there, right? So the idea is, okay, everywhere you'll need one appliance. Everywhere you'll need to put in one proxy for URL filtering, one dedicated IPS, something related to threat extraction, something related to DLP. So the problem is, as many appliances that you put, you will have to, deploy as many administrators as well. And plus the things will be executed in siloed manner. Every hardware is different. The administrators are different, right? So some clients, what they say is, my setup is really very small. Why do I need so many hardware appliances or so many solutions? Why can't you give me all this protection into one box? Right? And that is what we do, right? So basically, see, Checkpoint, what is Checkpoint? Checkpoint is like a hardware. Okay, it has some base OS. It would be Linux. It could be, I mean, it's of course it's a modified Linux. And at the end of the day, it's like a OS on it, and Checkpoint is a software on it, right? So on that OS, these the firewall company goes to different security vendors like antivirus or the mail protection vendors, and then they install their engine on the firewall as well. And then you'll have to pay them. Okay, so basically if you want to use anti-spam, then you'll have to pay them for one year renewal subscription service, and then they give some part of royalty to the original email vendor as well. And that's how it works, right? So what they do is they install all these protections in that same box, which is of course the firewall, and then they give it to you. So that is like unified threat management. Okay, and of course, somewhere like this is more specific to Checkpoint, but like if you, just for an example, right, there is this sandblast threat prevention. Paloalto will call it wildfire, or Fortinet will call it as 40 sandbox. Sophos may call it as Sophos sandstorm. But at the end of the day, they're giving the same feature. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so UTM is like all the protections given to you in a single box. Okay, it could be related to mail, antivirus. Of course, you don't have to use all of them. Okay, because if you use all of them, you'll have to buy the license as well for all of them. Okay, you can use all of them, no worries. Technically, yes, but you'll have to pay for them as well. So you may decide that, okay, I just want to go for maybe URL filter and data loss prevention. That's okay. You can do that, right? So that's how it really works. So that is unified threat management. Okay, any questions on this? Maybe when we start this course and we go into the UTM filtering section, UTM protection, we will discuss all this in detail. Okay, each one of them. So that's the idea. The final point on the NGFW, right? So I told you, right, everything is same. I mean, whether you go for Cisco, you go for Fortinet or Paloalto or Checkpoint, because all of them are kind of leaders, or they almost offer similar capabilities. They almost give you all same features, right? then what do you think? Why checkpoint? Why not any firewall? Why not Palo Alto for that matter? Or why not Fortigate for that matter? Because all three are in the leaders quadrant. I don't know. You guys know about leader quadrant? What I'm talking about? All three are leaders basically, right? So why checkpoint? Or let me put it the other way around. Why do you want to learn checkpoint? Of course, you're going to learn everything, but why checkpoint? Let's say, come on. Any thoughts, any points? So here the idea is, we may be able to decide why checkpoint, but there are companies which help us to decide as well. Okay. So the very first company which helps us to do that is something called as Gartner. Okay. Some of you would have really heard about it. So Gartner is like, it's like one company who evaluates all the firewall vendors, not only firewall vendors, they evaluate a lot of other security products as well. Okay. SIM, IPS, all that, EDRs. So basically, these are like evaluation company. They go there, they see what the product is really capable of. They have various criterias in terms of load sharing or load performance or number of users or whether this firewall is good for small segment, medium segment, or the high segment, all that stuff, right? So, and then they come out with a report, which is a paid report. Okay, it's not free. So basically, like if I want to buy a firewall, right? Or let me say, if I want to buy a mobile phone, I'll go to a shopping website, I'll compare 3, 4 models, and then I'll decide. So the same thing, if I want to buy a firewall, I'll go to Gartner, I'll download that report, and I'll see which of them is giving me good features, right? So here the idea is, if you see right on the x-axis, there is completeness of vision. On the y-axis, it is ability to execute of a company. And the guy who is like, on this line, who is the farthest, who's the most farthest, is the best firewall as per Gartner. Okay. However, if you see, there are 4 quadrants. There is a leaders quadrant, there is a challengers quadrant, there is niche players, and then there is visionaries. Okay. So what they say is, even though like going by this criteria, Palo Alto may be the best firewall. However, I have a leader quadrant where all these firewalls are there. Palo Alto is there, Fortinet is there, Checkpoint is there, and equally they are all good. Okay, they are all good because sometimes, let's say, if I don't have the budget for Palo Alto firewall, I can go in for a next option. I can go in for the next option, right? But all three are the leaders. The next best quadrant could be visionaries or probably the challengers. So here, both these quadrants, they can get, more completeness of vision and come into this leaders quadrant, or these guys can get more ability to execute more customers and get into the leaders quadrant. And this is like a niche player quadrant where, again, these are also firewalls. Maybe they don't have the best of the performance or best of the output as desired, but still they can do the job for you. Okay, so just imagine, like, I have to just protect one server. I may not go and buy, I may not spend like thousands of K, right? I'll just buy a small firewall and I'll still protect my server. So I can do it using maybe Sonic Wall or maybe Barracuda or maybe any other firewall as well. So that's the idea about Gartner. The second company which does this, oops. So the second company is, give me a minute. The second company is Forrester. Again, some of you would have heard of this. So these Foresters, they release waves. Okay, they don't release quadrants. Instead, they release waves. So, you see this is a leaders wave, right from here to here. Then there is a strong performers wave. Then there is contenders. And then there is the challengers wave. So here the x-axis and y-axis is different. So there is market presence on x-axis, and then the offering is on the y-axis, how strong, how many features. And based on this, if there is some company coming into this leaders wave, then they are good. Companies coming into this wave, they are also okay. Contenders is like third, you can say preference, and challengers are the last ones. So this is called as Forrester wave. Okay. So there's one more company which helps us to decide which firewall we should go with. Okay. And these may have a different criteria as compared to Gartner. Okay. Then we have the last company. I mean, there are more companies as well, but the last one that we are going to discuss is NSS Labs. Okay. So NSS Labs also comes out with some report. And this one is a very good, measuring criteria. So here the idea is, you see this yellow dot out here for Barracuda network. So what does it define is, okay, if I bring up a plain vanilla firewall, okay, Barracuda network firewall, I get it from the market. I do the plain vanilla configuration, right? Then I will get around, this is 70, this is 80. So I will get around 78% of security. Okay, so basically it provides me with 78% protection. That is what it tells me. Okay, plain vanilla configuration out of the box. I further fine tune it and I achieve up to this level, which is like 85 kind of. Okay, this is 90. So this is 90, right? So it is like 85 kind of. So that's how, if you see, every vendor has something over here and then it goes over here. It starts from here, it goes over here. It starts from here, it goes over here, right? So here is checkpoint basically. So right on day one, it gives you more than 92 or 95% of protection. There is something called as force point out here. There is Paloalto, which gives you around 97% of protection right from day one. And then you can further fine tune to achieve a bit of more. No one is 100%, but still. So the vendors which fall under this region, this this dotted lines that you see, right? These vendors are called recommended vendors by NSS Lab. Okay, recommended vendors. So these are like, preferable ones. If you fall in this region, if you are out of this region, then you may not be a recommended vendor. Simple. As simple as that. Okay. So these are some, you can just Google like, NSS Labs for the firewall or NSS Labs for IPS and things like that. And it will show you that this particular picture for, and it comes out regularly every quarter sometimes, or every 6 months or every year sometimes, right? So it comes out. So basically it will be a good practice, right? To see all this and then decide which firewall to buy. Okay. So we have actually discussed all of these 4 points, but any questions you have still?
So Akhil, I have a question regarding Maestro, the previous slides. So what is the purpose of having that Maestro thing in our environment, right? Because we are having different flavors of firewalls in our environment, like checkpoint boxes, whether they are virtual or physical. But what is the point of having those Maestro boxes?
You see, Maestro is more from, let's say you want to deploy a very big setup like a VSX gateway, or something related to your cloud or hyper converged infra kind of. Maybe you are going to spin up virtual firewalls, bring down some, add a few more. So that's where Maestro comes in. At the end of the day, it's hardware. Okay, it's just like an appliance. But the point is, you can have VSX deployed on it. They specifically they suggest that you should go with Maestro. However, like if you go to there is something called as hardware compatibility tool. So there they tell you that if you don't want to buy Maestro appliances, you can use any other bare metal servers like the Dell or the IBM or HP servers, and you can still deploy all the functionalities on that as well. But when they say Maestro, it is like one form of particular hardware that they will provide, where you can use it to deploy VSX gateways and hyper this HCI infra, they call it hyper converged infra, wherein many firewalls running on a single box, basically a high-end architecture, right? A high-end, high performance, high loaded architecture. You can use Maestro to scale up, bring a few firewalls up and down as per your requirement.
So, but so you are saying mainly for the VSX purpose, right? But VSX instances you can spin up, like, using.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly. The idea is I can still buy one, Dell server. I can install a Gaia OS on it, and I can use it as a VSX gateway. No worries at all. But in this case, what happens is the hardware that I've got from Dell is under my warranty, or you can say you have to do your own support and troubleshooting. Checkpoint will not help you in that. They will just help you with the software that they have provided. But when they provide you with the Maestro appliances and the Checkpoint software, then it is an end-to-end kind of, for Checkpoint, right? So that's the idea. They just, it's like at the end of the day, it's a server with high resources.
So is it possible, like, we can use our existing firewalls using that hyperscaler, like, which is Maestro, or like, we can basically.
It should support the load. That's the idea. Okay, it should support. I mean, technically it is possible. So as I said, right, it's not always necessary to buy a hardware from Checkpoint. Okay, I showed you the data sheet, but probably let's say I have a server which is lying idle. I can just use it. Basically, that's the idea. I can still use it. See, even if you consider these appliances I showed you, right? What do you think these appliances are? These appliances, what do you think? Let's say if I show you this particular server, right? This particular server, or not this one. Let's go for, yeah, just a second. Yeah. So what do you think this is? This is nothing but a server with more LAN cards, more CPU, more RAM installed on it. That's it. It's a machine at the end of the day, where we install the Checkpoint OS, which is again modified Linux. That's it.
So Maestro is not a firewall, actually. That's what you're saying.
Gateway. It's an appliance. You can make it a firewall. That's the idea. Okay, so
or you can manage the firewalls using the Maestro.
Yeah, so that that will get clear tomorrow. Your query, you'll be able to get it clarified tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
So the idea is on the same server, okay, on the same device. So this appliance can be a management server or a firewall or both at the same time. That's the idea. Okay. So we will continue about this or discuss about this tomorrow for sure.
Okay. No problem.
So that's the idea. But as I said, you need to be very clear whichever firewall you go with. Okay. At the end of the day, it's like a hardware where you install the OS first and then you deploy the Checkpoint software. Okay. Same thing like a desktop. You go to a market, you get a desktop, then you put Windows 10 on it, and then you put Windows Office on it. So Windows Office is the software. Checkpoint is a software. Gaia is the OS. And the appliances that you're buying is the hardware. It's same analogy, right? So that's the idea. Yeah, and going through the console walkthrough. So I was telling you that this is how the new console looks like. There's gateways and servers tab. There's security, logs, and monitor. In fact, it will be great to take you directly to the labs over there. So yeah, I have a lab out here. And as I said, we are going to put some rules as well. Okay, so this is the lab, or this is the original lab that we'll be having. We'll discuss on that as well, but this is the lab that I was talking about, right? So let us go and let us start, and I'll show you all this. Okay, don't worry. But let's see. So this is a Checkpoint ISO that I've deployed in the PNet environment. Okay, on the ETH0 I've given 192.168.5.1. This is a very simple kind of a setup. Okay, there is a console where I have installed this particular software, right? So that's the machine over there, 192.168.5.5. I've given the gateway as 5.1, and this router needs some kind of configuration, so that the end objective is I need to give internet access to this machine. Okay, so this particular machine 192.168.5.5, I need to give internet access via this firewall. That's our end objective. Okay, so let us do that. Okay, and let us see if this firewall is on. Yeah, it's getting on, no worries. So I'll show you everything, don't worry. Okay, I mean step by step, right from the ISO installation, the Gaia installation, everything. But today it's just be with me for this internet access lab. Okay, so this is the console that I was talking about. That's the machine. So basically it's like a small exe software that gets installed on the firewall administrator's desktop. Okay, so that's the idea. And probably, yes, I need to do some configuration over here. Fine, no worries. Just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is that console, that smart console that I was talking about. Okay, the smart 81 smart console R81. Okay, so I have kind of pre-configured it right now. But yeah, we are going to see all this. Okay, so don't worry at all. The server IP would be 192.168.5.1, and let this get up. Okay, and then we'll try to connect to it. Okay, it's coming up. It's still coming up. No worries. Let's finish the other part by that time. Okay, so let's finish the router configuration. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, okay, so I have a snippet ready. Okay, it's a very simple snippet. It's just like giving you the internet access, nothing else. So what we are going to do is we are going to do IP NAT outside, and the GI 0/0 will take the IP address from the DHCP. So that is what I'm configuring right now for GI 0/0. Okay, and I go to internet interface GI 0/0, and I just paste all this. Okay, so it's taking some DHCP IP NAT outside. Okay, great. I go to interface GI 0/1. Okay, so it has taken the DHCP IP from the host or the Wi-Fi router, right? Now I'm on GI 0/1. So here I'm going to use the IP of 172.16.20.254. Okay, and I'm going to do a IP NAT inside. So done. Okay, so this IP over here is 172.16.20.254, right? Yeah, so this IP. Okay, so let's say 172.16.20.254. Okay. This IP over here on GI0/1 is this. Okay. So I will need to configure some IP on this interface ETH1 as well. Okay. So that's my IP on GI0/1. Now let's see if this is turned on. Yeah. So, okay. So let me just configure that IP. Can you guess any IP that I will be doing over there? What IP can go over there on ETH1? It has to be from the same range, right? Because this is going to be my gateway now. This is like my internet router. Okay. So I will configure, let's say 172.16.20.1, okay, as my IP on ETH1. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. /24, of course. So that's what we are going to do. So done over here, right? So what I'll do is I'll quickly go ahead and configure the IP as well. Okay, there is one more thing pending. I have to do the access list. So for the access list, yeah, these are the two statements. So on the router, okay, so that we have the connectivity, correct? So I'm going to do that as well. Okay, so this is done, and we'll just try to ping the internet from here. So we are able to reach outside, right? Ping 4.2.2.2. We are able to reach internet from our router for now. That is fine, right? So the first part of the routing is okay, done, right? So this is done. Okay, so this is through. Now I log into this firewall and I need to configure the ETH1 interface. Okay, ETH0 is already configured by me earlier. So the command is set ETH1 IPv4 address set interface ETH1 IPv4 address 172.16.20.1 mask length 24, and I have to enable this interface. By default it is all disabled, right? So I have to enable this using the command ETH1 state on. Okay, I have to say save config. Okay, any other thing that you feel that I should be doing?
I think would have appreciated if you have discussed more about the architecture. As you discussed earlier, it has a new architecture.
Yeah, we will get into this. We will get into that, but this one is just very simple lab kind of for today. Of course, we are going to get into the architecture, the components, everything. But my point is, I need to go from here to the internet. Do you feel anything I'm missing out here? That's the question.
Do we need to configure DNS?
Yeah, we
Yes.
need to configure inside, outside the IP, LAN, WAN, route.
So outside I have configured as 172.16.20.1. Inside I have configured as 192.168.5.1.
The default route towards the,
Correct. Correct. You are right. So I have to set a default route again. So I will show you all this. Okay. So currently I'm doing through CLI, but there is a way to do it via web UI as well. But don't worry, just be with me for today. And step by step, as I said, once we get into the components, we'll do that as well. So I'm going to say set static route default next hop gateway address, and then I'll put the gateway of 172.16.20.254, which is my router or the internet router, and I have to enable this route as well by putting the keyword on. Done. So save config and finish. So now if I do a ping from here, I should be able to reach internet as well. Okay, so my firewall is able to reach the internet via my router. Simple as that. But let's see, that's not my objective. My objective is to get the internet on my this machine, right? This machine, right? So that is where we are going now. Okay, so first I need to, so okay, let's go in this machine right now. You can just check what the IP is. Okay, I'll show you the IP. It is 5.5, of course, as I showed you in the lab as well, right? The small lab that we are doing already. Yeah, so here we have it. And if I do IP config, it is having the IP address of 5.5 with a default gateway of 5.1, which is my internal LAN interface. And of course, I have also configured the DNS settings and all in this. Okay, so if you want to really see IP config /all, I've given the DNS of 4.2.2.2 as well. However, we are still not able to ping anything out. Okay, rediff.com or anything. I'm not able to access internet from here. That's the problem, right? So let us actually jump into the firewall and write a rule so that this guy is able to access internet. That's the idea, or that's the task for us today, right? So let us go there. Okay, so this is the first time login. You just have to say proceed. It doesn't come every time, so it's okay. Just give me 1 second. Yep. Okay, so this is how I'm back. This is how the console looks like. Okay, so I've added all the firewalls out here. So all the checkpoint products that you have will be added over here. Okay, so this is the gateway as well as the management. Then there is security policies tab where you can write your rules. There's logs and monitor where you can see the logs for the traffic process. And then you also have the manage and settings where you can do all the other administrative stuff like create more users, administrators, permission profiles, and everything. So what we are going to do is we first need to do a bit of pre-configuration over here. So I will go to the firewall.
So Akhil, one question regarding this management server console. This is a management server, right? To manage all the firewalls.
It is both. Right now, both the things are installed on the same box. Management server as well as firewall, both of them. So it's basically two separate softwares. They are installed on one box.
Okay, so it's a it could be hardware based as well as software based.
No, see, no. So whenever we talk of checkpoint, right? Whenever we talk of checkpoint, make it clear that it's always a software. Checkpoint is a software, and it gets installed on various types of hardwares. Okay. Now, when we are installing that particular setup, okay, so that software setup, when you execute, it will ask you whether you want to make this box as a firewall or a management server or both. We are going to see that, don't worry. But the idea is the moment you run the setup, it will ask you whether you want to make this device a firewall or a management server or both. And that is where you can choose and make it a management server or a firewall or both, right? So this one is
So-
both for now.
Means,
So basically,
it's a
so basically,
standalone, standalone.
so yeah, basically it could be like, hardware based, like, as you mentioned, right?
Yep,
If we
yep.
are basically spinning up a VM instance, then it would be a software based, right? Yeah. Okay. I got my answer. Thanks.
Yeah, even on the VM as well, I can still do firewall as well as management server on a
Okay.
single VM.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's the
Thanks.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is done. This is like a pre-config for me, so that's fine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write a rule. Okay, and let us see. Okay, and guys, this is the new lab. Okay, this is something new, so definitely there could be problems, and I need you guys to troubleshoot as well. Okay, of course I'm there, don't worry, but yeah, you should be chipping in. Like this guy who just told me about the default route, right? So you should be very attentive. What have I missed or what is going to happen, right? You should be quite attentive, right? So let's go to the security policies. And this is where, by default, there is access control policy, there is NAT policy, everything. Again, we'll see everything, don't worry. But right now, let's get to our objective of getting the internet access to this machine. So currently everything, any is dropped by this firewall. Fine. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a rule right now. Okay, new rule, right click on it, say new rule above. And I'm going to put the name as internet access rule. I'll say the source. So here I don't want any. In fact, I just want one machine to have internet access, right? So I'll say I'll have to create a new host. So basically it's like this. You go to the star button, create a new host, and I will use it as GUI client. That is what it is called with the smart console installed. It is called GUI client. Okay. So I'll say the IP as 192.168.5.5 and done, finish. Okay. And then destination, because I want internet access, I'll just say any. Okay, destination is any, right? Because internet, right? I just can access anything. What about services? Which services are required for internet? So you can quickly add the plus sign and start telling me this services quickly. Anyone? Browsing.
80.443.
Okay, so 80 is
DNS.
HTTP. Yes, HTTP, DNS, and 443, of course. These are the three services, HTTPS, HTTP. So you just have to click on this plus sign and it gets added, okay? A bit slow out here, I believe, but just give me a minute. Are you guys able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Right. Yeah, one sec. I think I just closed that. Just be with me. So of course, three things, right? HTTP, HTTPS, and DNS. Always three things are required for internet access. That is what we are going to add. And then the action, we'll change it to allow. Okay. So by the time it responds, actually, let me go back to my presentation and show you what all labs we are going to do. Okay. So when I talk of the labs, this will be the complete lab setup. Okay. Of course, I mean, it's not like we will follow hard and fast this, right? But yeah, of course, this will be done, and anything that we feel that, has to be added, we can do that. So when I say that, okay, what we are going to do is we'll install uh, a CP site A. Okay, so let's say this is a site A where this is the firewall and this is the management. Okay, so this is like a distributed setup for me. And this one will be like a firewall plus management, both on the same device or same ISO. Okay, so this is like the tier 2 architecture that we call it. This is like a tier 3 architecture that we call it, right? Then we will have something like an AD, a AD server deployed on a Windows server, and then we will integrate it for a user kind of an access. Okay, we'll create some users on this AD server users, and then we will give access to the real AD users. Okay, then we will have one more site. This is of course for, and everything is not happening on day one. Okay, as and when. So let's say if I want to do a VPN site to site, then I will spin up this firewall, right? That's how it is going to work. But everything will be covered. The same way I have a remote access lab client as well. So I will configure remote access over here. We'll install the client over here, connect from here, and then access something on these VLANs and then see, right? We also have a DMZ server. So something like this client or maybe some outside client, they can come in and access the DMZ server, NAT it, or things like that. So that's the idea. And then we are also going to install a third firewall, which will be more like a WAN firewall. And from this office, we should be able to go to this WAN office. So maybe there is an office in city 1 and there is an office in city 2. So this is city 1 and this is city 2, and you should be able to access this through this firewall right from over here. And this firewall is still managed by this management server. So all this, like somewhere you will have to do a troubleshooting based on routing, or maybe somewhere on the policy, everything will be covered. Okay, so this is like on a very higher type of a thing. But as I said, like we will build it slowly, lab by lab, step by step. But this will be the complete lab for you. Okay, and moreover, this being the lab, that is fine, but we also give you right from day one, you will have all the access to the labs, video recordings, everything. And on top of that, we will be giving you all these lab workbooks. Okay, so right from day one, okay, today's lab as well included. So internet access policy config, standalone install lab. So everything over here is, step by step. These are all PNET lab, the labs that we are doing, the one which I showed you, right? Everything is covered, step by step. Only probably you may see that the IP is different, but no worries, right? So everything step by step, okay? Everything. You just need to follow this, and hopefully there are no issues. I mean, never reported as such, but let's see. I mean, just go on following this. And every topic, it's not like, one or two initial, but even if you take something related to policy objects. So what type of objects can be created, from where you can create that, everything has been put in, step by step, which will be given to you, okay, once you enroll, which will be shared with you right from day one. Okay, so that's how it is there. Even if you go with maybe clustering, right? So there is clustering, distributed, managing this, design, optimized policy. Yeah, cluster. So clustering is actually not a part of CCSA, but we are still going to cover it. But let's see. But okay, and then everything, as I said, it's very simple, done in a very simple way. So clustering has a different lab. So even that is explained to you first, and then where which segments are connected, what are the IP segments, everything, right? What configuration, how to configure the clustering step by step. Everything will be covered and given to you, shared with you. Okay, so that is how, I mean, we have it. Okay, everything, even on this identity awareness, how to deploy an AD as well, will be covered.
So I see, Akhil, we are recording this session, so you're gonna share this recording session with us?
See, I mean, of course, if you're going to enroll, yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, because today being the demo lecture, right? So that's
Yeah,
the,
I understand.
yeah. I mean, see these recordings, whatever documents I've shown you, the labs that I've shown you, always will be there for you. Always there.
Okay, sounds good. And what about, like, if a person is just interested in just one course, like Checkpoint?
Yeah, so this is the last slide that I was going to show you, but this is where you can discuss all your queries. Okay. Okay. Completely, I mean, very flexible though. But of course, see, if you go see the course, all about is like complete firewall mastery, right? 5-in-1 modules and all, of course. So that will help. And as we said, we are trying to cover, I'm going to see this particular site where I'm going to deploy VPN, right? Site to site VPN from this site to this site. I will make sure that I do it on Fortinet. Okay, so this firewall will be Fortinet. This firewall will be Checkpoint. So you guys know already, like, how to deploy a VPN on Fortinet as well, right? So we are going to do it. No worries.
Okay.
That
sounds good.
Yeah. So let me just go back.
Akhil, just one question.
Yep.
So will you also show the lab wherein from old version to new version we deploy in Checkpoint? Will that lab also be?
You mean upgrade?
Yes, upgrade.
Upgrade. See, the thing is, upgrade, I can show you the installation of patches. I will show you, no worries. But the
suppose like in a production environment, we are running on an old version and we wanted to deploy suppose from R77.20, like currently if we are running, we want to deploy it to suppose R80. So I mean, like with that production, in the production environment, how do we? So I mean, like, can you just add on that to this course as well, if possible?
So see the scenario that you have mentioned, right? Specifically from the R77 era, right? The best way to upgrade would be to get in touch with the support, right? Because there are many things in between. It's not like, they need to first check whether your existing hardware will support the R80 architecture. So from that point, you will need to get in touch with the Checkpoint support. And that depends if you really have that Checkpoint support enabled and all that stuff. But I will definitely show you how to upgrade, from where to upgrade. Again, the upgrade files, the HFAs or the patches, right? They are quite big in size. So depending, how fast the download would be or how soon we can download it, or probably I'll try to download it, keep it offline and then do an upgrade. I'll show you how you can install those patches. Probably when you talk about R77.20 to R80 or R81, there would be multiple versions in between that you have to do.
Yes, yeah, I can understand. Because it's already it's a major upgrade. We can say not a firmware upgrade, but it's a major upgrade.
But I will show you from where you can do that. Absolutely no worries. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
It's like an web UI. Through web UI you can do that. Okay, so let us come back to my rule here. So I'm going to add those services and applications. So HTTP, yes, I have allowed. I'll just add a few more, add new items, and I'll say the DNS, and I'll say DNS. So this is a group, okay, DNS, there's UDP and TCP as well. So this DNS gets added. And then I want to also add HTTP. Okay, I want to add HTTP. So you just have to click this plus sign and it gets added. If you want to also add, just for the sake of troubleshooting, I'm adding ICMP as well, so that we have the complete stack done. Okay, internet does not require ICMP, but I'm just adding it. And then we have to say that the action should be accept, track should be log, fine, that I want to see a log for it. and then I am going to install this rule on my gateway, okay, which is my firewall. So you can do this kind of drag and drop also. You can change this action to log as well. Okay. So now what do you think? If I've done like 19 changes, it shows me that right ever since I logged in. You notice like, my client crashed in between, right? And I re-logged in. Still my changes are there. So this is the difference that I was talking about. This is not available in R77.20 or 30. If my client crashes, it will tell you, it will just give you a message that Smart Console is not able to reach the server. All changes done will be lost. But this is the better architecture, right? The server side thing. So all my 19 changes that I did, even though my client crashed, it there on the server. Okay, so that's the major change in the architecture that they have gotten. Okay, so this is like it is telling me right from the, it's like in my session, there are 19 changes that I have done, and publish is like saving. Okay, publish is not installing the policy. It is like something that I have changed. It is still saved. It is not installed on the firewall. So for that, I need to install the policy. Okay, so publish is like saving first, and then you can install the policy for this changes to come into effect. Okay, so that's how it works. Now, what do you think? Will I be able to access internet? I've written the rule as well now to accept and everything.
Could you please repeat that install policy and publish?
Yeah. So the idea is whatever changes I'm doing in this console, right? All these console stuff, all this object and everything. Okay, let's do one more thing. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this and I'm going to say internet access rule number 1. Okay. Now, as soon as I did this, okay, I have changed this and it shows me that there is one change which is not saved. Okay. Saved means, it is saved on the management server component. It is not yet installed on the firewall. That's the idea. So this, whatever rule that I have written right now is not into effect. It is just stored on the management server for now. Okay. So that's the thing. So I want to save it first on the, and this one is not even saved actually. When I say 1, that means one change is done. And when I say publish, then this one will go away and this save is done. Save on the database. See, management server is like a database. So this save is done. Now I want to install this policy on the firewall. So I go to this install button. Okay. So tomorrow you will be more clear on this. Don't worry. Okay. Once you go into these components and 2-tier architecture, 3-tier architecture, you will be more clear, right? So now,
commit check and then commit, right? Like that.
Correct. You are right. Okay. So now I'm going to install this policy. But my question to you is, what do you feel? Should I get the internet access once I install this policy? Will I get it?
We still need an NAT tool, I guess.
Great. Okay. So the thing is, I've allowed something fine, but I have not done any NAT for this particular device. Okay. It is still playing around in its LAN. So what I'm going to do is a very shortcut. Okay. You guys don't know this maybe, or some of you have worked on Checkpoint may know. I'm just going there, enabling NATing. And I'm saying that you take the firewall external IP and go to the internet. Okay. So I'm just doing a simple hide NAT, hide behind the gateway, and install this on my gateway firewall. Don't worry, we are going to see NAT and everything in detail. Okay. But this is just for the sake of internet I'm doing. So again, after this, there will be some kind of changes that I have done. Okay. So one change again. So, and this tells you what is changed, this pencil icon, right? It tells you that something is changed on this. Of course, there is logs as well of any guy doing any changes, but still it tells you. So I'll this time I'll just do an install. No worries. Okay. So it will publish it on its own. Even if you don't save it or publish it from here, it will save it. So it will say publish and then install. Okay. No worries. Just go ahead. Okay, so it is going to publish first. If there is a problem, it will tell you that whatever rule you have written is right, wrong, conflicting, whatever. It will tell you. It's intelligent enough to tell you that. So now it is telling me that install this policy. The policy name is standard. Okay, whatever comes here is the policy name. So the policy name is standard, going to be installed on gateway 1, which is my firewall. So I'll just say install, and this installation begins. Okay, so here it shows you the progress, how it is getting installed. If you get green over here, fine. If you get red, there is some issue. If you get a green with yellow warnings, still fine, no worries. Okay. Warning is basically, fixing something which is not right, but you still get an access, because if you've got green, that means you get the access. The policy is good. Okay. The installation part is good. But if you get a red kind of thing, then definitely there is some problem. It is not installed and you need to troubleshoot. And it will tell you, if you click on details, it will tell you what's wrong, what's right, what are the details, everything it will tell you. Okay. So now you can see that once it is 100%, great. Okay. So the policy installation is completed. And now if we try to, what do you say? You should have internet access, right? Yes or no? So there we have it. Okay. So we are able to reach there. We are able to reach probably Rediff. Done, right? And probably you open it in the browser as well. Of course, it will work. So that's how we have given you, the internet access. Again, a very small setup to one PC itself, but yeah, that's it. Okay. So we have the access now. And if you want to see just how the logs are, appears, right? We'll also see the logs. Yes, you can just go to this logs and monitor tab. It's initializing. Okay. Yeah. So these are the logs. And there is a very good shortcut for that as well. I'll show you. Just give me a minute. Okay, that's something, I was talking about the latest architecture. So I'll tell you. So this is the logs and monitor tab. Here you can apply all your filters, wherein the source is equal to this, destination is equal to this, rule number, port number, everything. You can filter time. Okay. All that is possible. And having said that, right? Yeah. So this is the log. Okay. This is the log. It tells you that this is the source. This is the destination, everything, right? And this is accept, which interface the packet comes in, what was the action, what was the blade. Okay. This was a firewall blade. This one is ETH0 connection done. Okay. All that it tells you, you double click on it. It will give you more info. Okay. It is telling you that it is translated or natted behind the firewall, everything. Okay. And moreover, when we do this, we have to come to logs and monitor and do all this, filtering and all that stuff. So I want to see all the DNS traffic, right? So I can say service as 53, and you can just press enter. So it will give me all the DNS related traffic. Okay, so here you can see that all the ports, everything is UDP53. If you want to put something related to source, you can do like this source, or you can just click here and also put something. Okay, but the easier way that I was telling you was, you just go to the security tab, and if you just click on this rule, okay, and go to the logs over here. So any traffic that matches this log will be given to you right away over here itself. Okay. So that's
Can you repeat this thing, Akhil? Sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah. So the idea is, if you go here, you will see all the. I think someone is speaking. Can you just go on mute?
Okay. I'm on. I'm not speaking.
Okay. So okay, no worries. So the idea is if you go to this logs and monitor, you will have a global view.
Dust
Every
పడిపోతుంది
log.
మళ్ళీ చెప్తున్నాను అది గంట పట్టింది క్లీన్ చేయడం.
I think Nagaraju has a open mic, so probably.
I'll just mute him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the idea is if you go to this logs and monitor tab, all the traffic that firewall is processing will be there. I mean, every log will be shown to you. You can apply your own filters. Fine. But probably you want to see that I've written this rule right now and I want to see if there is some traffic hitting it. So you just select the log and in the bottom you select this tab of logs and it will display only that particular rule traffic, not the complete stuff.
Very good point. Yeah, thanks. Very good. Yeah.
So only that. So probably if I click here, it will show you what all traffic is getting denied. Okay. Just so it's basically a rule number filter, nothing else. Rule number 1, rule number 2 as a filter applied. That's it. Okay. You can see current rule, right?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. And that's how it really works. But again, as I said, don't worry because today's objective was to provide internet, but everything will be, step by step. So as I said, let me go back to my presentation. So maybe if we come back tomorrow, right, we are going to see what are the components of checkpoint, what are the deployment modes, and then starting like, I told you about this, right? So here we will actually start our deployments as well in terms of 2-tier architecture, 3-tier architecture, everything. So you'll be very clear, don't worry. It was only that I wanted to show you how rules are written. I wanted to show you how internet access is given. And that's how we have gone there, right? So don't worry, everything will be cleared right from the scratch. Okay, right from the scratch. This is what we are going to do tomorrow. So any questions, any queries, anything that you want to discuss, or any point that I've shown you in the slides and you want to discuss?
The thing is that okay, one thing that we will learn GUI or also CLI, that commands.
Of course, CLI, yes, it will be there. But let me be very frank. Okay, I'm not more of a CLI person, but I'll show you all the CLI. I'll share a official CLI guide of checkpoint with you. I'll show you all the important commands as well for troubleshooting. But like this one is more from a management perspective, and this GUI of checkpoint is way beautiful, way secure than other components or other firewalls, because other firewalls, they are just like you do an HTTPS and then you can write your own rules, right? But in checkpoint, if you want to write a rule, you'll need to get that smart console installed. Of course, there's a web UI, but through that web UI, you will not be able to write rules. You will be able to do the system level configuration, change the IP or do a static route or things like that, right? So that will be possible via web. But to write a rule, you always need a smart console installed. That's yeah. Okay. So we will see the CLI commands as well. Don't worry. Okay. So any more questions? Anything? Any inputs? How did you find the session? Good, bad, valuable?
That's a very good interactive session, Akhil. I would say, like, you are very knowledgeable on checkpoint.
Thank you.
So just one question. Yeah. So just one question I had, like, if we are not using these firewalls in a cluster mode and we have to upgrade just one standalone box, so there would be disruptive maintenance for that because we have to reload, right?
Of course, 100%.
Okay. Thanks.
Every update, upgrade, or a patch installation on checkpoint, may it be a management server or may it be a firewall component, will require a reboot. Always. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
How can we secure the checkpoint when compared with the firewall?
How can we secure checkpoint? Sorry, didn't kind of get a question, like what or you want to say that how do you compare checkpoint firewall with other firewall? Hello.
Not exactly. I mean, so
Yes.
it's related to maximum to firewall related concept in the checkpoint.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
how
think,
can we? Yeah.
I think the right question would be how the checkpoint basically secure our internal resources. That would be
Yes.
the right
Yes.
question.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So see, it's like by default, right? All the firewalls will block everything coming from outside to inside, and whatever you allow only will come down. Simple. That's the idea. But when we talk of checkpoint, right, how it really helps you is I'm going to show you something. Of course, this is like an additional subscription and all. I'll show you something. Just give me a minute. Okay. So if we go to something called as checkpoint red cloud, I don't know if you have heard of this. Checkpoint live threat attack map or live, they call it threat cloud. Okay. Checkpoint threat cloud. You've seen this threat cloud. So are you able to see this?
Yeah,
This
people
is
are
currently
Yes.
happening in real time. Okay.
Yeah.
In real time, this is happening. These are attacks. So someone is attacking from United States to Hong Kong, whatever, right? And it tells you like, there are so many phishing attacks, so many malware, so many exploits. Okay. And there is country wise, there is, you know, uh, region wise, all sort of things, right? So the idea is, so how do they get this? How do they get this? Well, all the customers who have installed Checkpoint, right? They are observing the traffic, they're observing the logs. Of course, there's a consent, right? And they are gathering this information. And you saw that infinity thing that I was telling you. So they use these threat feeds to make your environment secure. They will say that this type of attack, which I had seen, probably in this region, is coming to you as well. Why don't you block this? Why don't you allow this? So this is happening in real time. They serve it as a different subscription, as a service. Basically, you have to pay extra. You cannot say that I've built I've got a firewall, and now you give me this service as well. But you basically have to pay a bit more. Okay, so if you are doing X dollars for the checkpoint, you may have to give X plus 100 to get this service out. So they will tell you that this type of attack is going to happen, or is we are able to see this type of attack happening on your network. Let's do this. Let's block the signature in your IPS. Let's block this in your firewall as a blacklisted IP. So these type of value add they also give. I hope that answers your question.
Got you.
Yep. So this is just one again. See, I mean, there would be other firewalls giving you similar stuff as well. This is all about checkpoint. Okay. So don't worry. Yes. Any other queries?
Hi, Akhil, is
Yeah.
Imran here. Regarding the course, I logged in on the learn.networkjourney.com. I can see there are two trainings, but I don't see this firewall training is there.
No worries. We are starting it from today, so don't worry. It's a regular batch. So I mean, regular in the sense it will be a weekend one. I don't know about the portal stuff for now, but on the learning.portal, you will mostly have access to the recordings, as and when we do it. So for example, today is the first lecture, right? As soon as I complete this, it will be recorded and then uploaded to you on the portal. So after that, you will have an access. But anything related to your lab access, your subscription, your that learning portal stuff, or any videos or any documents or anything related to the labs technically, all these are the emails, numbers, WhatsApp, everything. I mean, you will get access to all of this. Don't worry.
No, it's not today, but we will get it. Okay, that's fine.
Today's demo lecture, of course, right?
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine.
Fine. So yeah, any more queries? Remember, this is the number. these are the email address, WhatsApp address, URLs that to go to always. And hopefully let's, see you tomorrow again. Any more questions?
Anyone have a question related to the joining and all, you can just contact this phone number and related portal or lab and everything. The trainer will deliver the training here only, and if you have any technical question you can ask him regarding the portals and the lab or anything. Just contact backend team. We have 24/7 available. You can reach out anyone. Okay, we have dropped the in the chat the contact details. Just contact.
I have one question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the checkpoint is one of the major issue is the zone drifting, if I remember previously. So what is your thoughts about the checkpoint zone drifting when you just enable or disable it? Do you have any kind of like little bit information, so it will be helpful for me?
Zone drifting.
Correct. In the firewall, when you by default setup is some firewall is coming with disable, right? You say yes or no. So what is happening is when you setup is yes, somehow firewall go back to for original state, like default state. So the problem we found it when we set up the firewall in checkpoint, something the zone drifting frequently happen. So it's just like something you allow it and is getting like go back to no. So it's this type of firewall problem in the F5.2 when you try to go with something you allow the port, but in your server, if something is just like goes back to the old state, like your default state. So how you guys handle it in the checkpoint based on your experience?
I have never come across such issue because if you write the rule correctly, it will either allow or deny as per the rule. Okay, if the rule is not written correctly, then it will give you a message that this particular rule, whatever you have allowed, is not proper, is conflicting. It will tell you right in the beginning. But I have never really come across such issue. However, right, there are some things like TCP or stateful inspection, or probably there is one thing called as address spoofing. These are some scenarios where even if you write a rule to allow something, it will drop off because of the stateful inspection I told you about, right? Because they feel that this communication is not as per the TCP protocols. In that cases, there is something called as global properties where we can go and change the parameters so as to allow that kind of traffic. But that is something at a very exception level, we have to do it. And probably, yes, if we discuss more on this in the lab, if you can show me what exactly was the issue, then I will be able to solve it for you as well. Okay, so I haven't really come across that if I write a rule to allow something, then it will drop. That's no chance. I mean, unless and until I'm doing something very much wrong, where maybe the routing is not in place, or maybe that rule never hits. So you may write a rule, there is a policy which is called implied rules, which is further above the rules that I write. So if that is blocking that particular traffic, then I can go to the rule base and see for the rule number 0. So that's how we troubleshoot, but that's the idea. So if you can, replicate that problem for me, I should be able to troubleshoot it. No worries.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
If you have such a question technical, you can drop a screenshot in our Slack channel or our WhatsApp group. My trainer will look into this and get back to you in next session.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Tomorrow we have session, same time. I'll let you go. Let's join tomorrow. See you. Bye. Have a nice day.
Okay, then. Bye. See you tomorrow again. Thank you. Thanks for your time today. Bye. Bye, everyone.